Assalamu alaikum. It is not a big favor to come after the elevated Imam Siraj Wahaj and Imam Abdullah Idris Ali. You want to take notes and you pay attention, and when your turn comes, you say, oh, do I have to speak? So, Islamophobia is a challenge which I am asked to speak about. And I'll talk a bit about Islamophobia and a bit about how we can deal with it. This is last Friday. The sister was happy on Friday, went with her cousins and was speaking Swahili in Minneapolis. And this lady threw a not near beer, but real beer, along with a whole glass, and she had 17 stitches on her face. These three pretty people we lost. You cannot think of a good Muslim, good citizen, and good neighbor than these three kids. Real fine product of our community. I just lost. But what we do not know is that the same few weeks, there were 12 Muslims who were murdered at the same time. And people who are talking about them on TV, they're blaming the victims. Dispute on parking lot, right? In 32 states, 100 anti-Muslim bills have been presented. And not once, every year they are presented. So every year campaign goes on. So I was in Alabama early this year to meet Dalai Lama. And so just called up the Imam and met Imam, and he said, oh, thank you so much for the Sharia brochures of Sound Vision. Those are the only tools we have to fight against anti-Islamic bills. So I said, well, that was in Alabama 4 years ago. He said, no, 4 years ago it began, and they passed. Then court next year went back, and they passed it again. Then something happened, and now it's the referendum, and now it is nailed down. So it took 4 years of introducing and reintroducing. So each of those introductions is another campaign which was happening. So it's not just 100 bills and go over with it. These are 100 Islamophobia campaigns in 32 states brought in every year repeatedly. This mosque doesn't quite look like a mosque, does it? It was a beautiful mosque, and alhamdulillah, thanks to neighbors, everyone coming together, it's rebuilt as a mosque, but that's how it looked. But there are 100 attacks which ACLU has recorded, and some of those attacks, for example, I'm from Illinois, so Illinois attacks are not even included in the database when I looked at it. So what they have record of is 100 attacks on mosque in last 5 years. It is not a lengthy record, but 5 years. Impact on Ummah is substantial. 2 million Muslims are dead thanks to war, terrorism, and hate. And that is not a statistics which I cooked up. This is physicians for social responsibility, they are called, or physician for human responsibility. It's a award-winning. Not award-winning, it's a Nobel Peace Prize-winning organization in Washington, D.C. It's their calculation. There are more refugees now than there ever were in human history, 60 million of them. 5 countries have been literally destroyed. And there is an ongoing genocide in Central African Republic. Only my friend Desmond Tutu has the courage in the whole world to say it is becoming a genocide. I informed him it is done. It is genocide which is completed. It took 1 year for Cynthia Power, who is a PhD in genocide, to say in the United Nations that all mosques in Central African Republic have been destroyed. When I last time spoke to Imam in Bangui, which is the capital city, he told me there used to be 74 mosques in the capital city, only one is left, in which he himself is there. And he had about 900 Muslims left alive at that time out of 250,000 Muslims. And he says, I lose 10 Muslims every day. And I asked him, how do you do that? He said, because we're surrounded by the enemy and we cannot go out for food. So I send Muslims to bring food in. And some are able to come back with some food, which I give to those 800-900 people who are still alive. So some die out of hunger. Some die by bringing the food in, because once they're injured, I cannot take them to the hospital, because hospital you have to go through again through the whole thing. And of course, Burma story is slightly more known than the Central African Republic. There used to be 8 million Muslims, now there are 5 million left. Impact on Europe, no halal is allowed in 5 countries, no hijab is allowed in 3 nations, and of course, all the mosques are controlled in 2 countries, and now Australia has passed a law, I think a constitutional amendment, I hope it's not the 18th amendment because there will be some hope, that all Qurans are banned, they're going to translate the Quran themselves, which everyone must have. The impact on wealth in the US, that's you and me. Muslims are last to be hired and first to be fired. According to Gallup survey of nightly survey, Gallup is a very good Christian organization, and they honestly hired some Muslims to work with them. They took the nightly survey of 500 nights and put results together divided by religion. And according to that, Muslims are the least employed of all other faith communities in this country, proportionally speaking. Wages of Muslims, according to Columbia University, are down by 10%. Well, it has come around, that is 0.01%. It took 15 years to come around, but 0.01%. Impact on America itself, on our country, is substantial. London has replaced New York as the financial capital of the world. I had the dubious honor of saying that in the White House in the last year of President Bush, Condoleezza Rice, and people were looking at who is this brown face Muslim saying these things. It took 3 years from that, but it did happen. Because once you block free travel, you block free capital flow also. And that's what I was pointing out, that even white folks from Western Europe, 68% of them are afraid of crossing our borders. And that's what I was basing my prediction on. And they thought it doesn't make sense. The United States has become an unwelcoming nation for the capital as well as for people. The impact on our neighbors is tremendous. I must say that our neighbors have a very fair sense of balance. And after 9/11, when survey was done, 2 months from that, 59%, almost 60% of our neighbors say they have no problem with Islam and Muslims. They have good opinion of their neighbors. Now, we lost 100 million more neighbors. Now only 27% of our neighbors have positive opinion of Islam and Muslims. So hate overall is rising in our country. Armed militias, according to Time magazine, have doubled. Number of hate groups is all-time high. 25 million Americans have legally purchased guns for the first time last year, increasing the number. More than 350 laws have been passed against Latinos essentially, but mostly all against all immigrants in different states. President Obama, according to Secret Service, received 400% more death threats than President Bush did. So will Islamophobia continue? And this is where after 10 minutes I'll take transitions towards strategies which we can adopt individually and all that. But it is important to recognize my response to it, Na'udhu billah min dhalik, is yes, it is going to be rising. And it is important to see why I consider that way, because of the organized Islamophobia machine, which is extremely well-funded, well-organized. Before coming here, preparing for this presentation, I went on Amazon's bestseller list. Amazon bestseller list changes every hour. Bestseller on Islam was a book written by one Fox television person about Islam and Muslims. Most of the time, among the top 10, 3-4 books are written by Robert Spencer. And you know how much you love him. Canada was the first country not to allow him to enter in Canada. And thanks to small gestures like that, Canada seems to be finally liberated from a Islamophobia. And mashallah, 10 Muslims have been elected. One sister is a minister in the government, and this is because Muslims took care of. They used to vote 23%. This time they went about 60%, 57% or so. So one of the reasons it is going to continue to live organized Islamophobia machine in America. Second, war terrorism dictates dehumanization. War terrorism is one side. Don't let anybody tell you that terrorism is bad and war is good. That's how your media would like you to know. But war, terrorism requires dehumanization of people, because human beings cannot kill each other. So you dehumanize the other, so killing becomes easier. Third thing, fear of diversity, because in America, census projects in 2043, minorities will be majority. That fear is driving a whole lot of craziness, and that is something which is going to increase. Low levels of Muslim civic engagements. Islamophobia, some Muslim think, is a product because our neighbors do not know about Islam. Not true. Neighbors have less copies of the Quran 20 years ago. There were half the masjid 15 years ago. So it's not the absence of Islamic information about Islam which accounts for Islamophobia. No, that may be somewhat. You need to continue to do positive dawah, but Islamophobia is product of you being weak, you being powerless. Once you cannot take a stand and stand up for yourself with confidence, tradition historic is that you will be beaten up even more. So absence of civic engagement continues to be a problem. Economic blues and declining socio-economic power of Muslims also. So because of this reason, I think Islamophobia will continue. The reason I'm saying is not because I want you to be scared of it, but I want you to prepare, because the way we will deal with it is going to be the process of the liberation and empowerment of the Muslim community. But while doing that, you will make this country better. Diversity is going to be as American as apple pie. Either you can be afraid of it or you take advantage of it. And you are the one, inshallah, who is going to liberate our country from that fear which is hurting this country and destroying this country to its core. So first strategy, I'll go fast here, name it. Many Muslims don't use the name. They have a question about it. Some public relation organization have said this and that. I have fought in a think tank, and finally for 2 years, to use the term Islamophobia, finally I and some other Muslims threatened to resign. Only then they used the term Islamophobia. And Jewish Federation of Chicago, whose representative were in that task force, resigned and did not sign up the use of that particular term. The same thing, Associated Press have issued a statement, issued in their style book, that don't use the term Islamophobia. How in the world are you going to deal with something which doesn't have a name? Are you with me on this? Are you following what I'm saying? So there is a whole strategy that does not have a name. So what is the name of this new hate, my brothers and sisters? Islamophobia. It needs to be on newsletter, it needs to be on notice board, it needs to be in our khutbah. Unless you name it, You cannot deal with it. Second thing, do not ignore Islamophobia. Why? Because Allah says it. Where does Allah says? In the same Surah Al-Shura, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the characteristics of successful people. وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَهُمُ الْبَغْيُ هُمْ يَنْتَصِرُونَ. When they are wrong, they take a stand. This is the characteristics of the Prophet. Of course, you take a stand in a way to win over people. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan, but you do take a stand. Not taking a stand is un-Islamic, against what Allah says, the characteristics of successful people. Strategy number 2, you cannot want to achieve something and not have a plan for it. It is not a coffee table discussion. Islamophobia is not just some steam coming out of your teacup in a living room. It's a serious business. You've got to have a plan to deal with it. Personal plan, your organizational plan. And that's why Allah says, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. O believers, be mindful of Allah, and each one of you must consider what are you doing for the coming day. And be fearful of Allah. Don't fool around. Just say that it is important. You've got to take yourself seriously, and that's why it's making plans. So personalize the fight. You just cannot assign to that organization or this Amir or that Amir. And this gathering seems to have too many Amir and too many Imams here. You just can't assign. You have to own it. Each one of us need to deal with it. Strategy number 3. Remember, war, terror, and hate are connected. It's an evil triplet. You just cannot leave one side or the other side. And be a proper Muslim. Be just in saying war is wrong. Are you with me? War is wrong. Say war is wrong.
War is wrong.
War is wrong. War kills people. This is just, people don't say that. Imams want to condemn terrorism. It has become a 6th pillar of Islam. Condemn terrorism 6 times a day. It's a joke. Neither terrorists are listening, not America is listening. They say, hey, Imam Saraj, why did you condemn this morning? They didn't.
Yes.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So connect war, terrorism, and hate together. And this is a Muslim Peace Coalition banner. And so strategy number 4, put masjid in the center. Masjid is where people are. 95% of the Muslim are somewhere. I don't know where. I will ask you where they are. But 5-10% Muslim who are connected with masjid, that's where whole Islam is. That's where we need to bring this whole effort. Take it to the media. People ask why people are against Islam and Muslims. So they did a survey. They asked people, why are you against Islam and Muslim? This is what they say, the media is stupid. That's American way of saying, emphasizing something. Strategy number 6, take it to Islamophobes. These are the people, $160 million Islamophobia machine. These are Islamophobia organizations. These are Islamophobia preachers. These are Islamophobic media, and Islamophobia kills. Not only in this country, but everywhere else. This dude killed 78 Christian children. And what was their charge? They were soft on Islam. That's what he says. They are soft on Islam. And Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer, he quotes all of these people, including Indian and those who are fascists there. Now, strategy number 7, dialogue, dialogue, and dialogue. Our neighbors are fair-minded people. We just simply don't talk. If we talk, it will make a difference. That brother is from Australia. No, not Australia, they say Australia, right? Close?
Yes, right.
Okay, so what they did in Sydney, they surveyed people. They brought 100 people who are anti-Muslim in their house. 100 people. Then somewhere they found about 40 Muslims and they brought them. No Quran was there, no lecture, even no biryani or hummus there. Just some Muslim between those people who have negative opinion of Islam and Muslim. In the evening, they ask again, what do you think about Muslim? What is the result? They said there was no biryani and there was no coffee of the Quran. Majority of them have positive opinion of Islam and Muslim. Just people being with people. So when there is survey of 27% people, why do you have positive opinion of Islam and Muslim? They said, we know a Muslim. So connecting, dialogue with the champions who are not champion in Islamophobia, like Southern Poverty Law Center, like NAACP, like Amnesty International, like Human Rights Watch. None of them has a priority to fight Islamophobia. There are other phobia they are still busy in because there is funding in there. Dialogue with the middle, because in America, middle and moderates make a whole lot of difference. So have dialogue with them. Dialogue with the opposite party. Some Muslim in Oklahoma had a conversation with Tea Party. Guess what? Those two party groups decided they're going to move away from something. They said, no, we have this opinion and we didn't need to fight with Muslims just because they have conversation. So don't give up on people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherever he will go, not talk about drug and alcohol, he was in the midst of it. Market of Abkhaz, there will be naked people there. He will go and talk with people. So talk to everyone. Allah is the one who controls the heart. All we have to do is do our job. Strategy number 8, isolate the ideologies of ISIS and Boko Haram and people like that. Our voices must be louder. You're more generous to me than you were to them. He's giving me more time than the clock says. Okay, that's a good one. These two brochures are available on Sound Vision booth outside.
Isolate what?
Isolate okay to kill ideology, whether at home, warmongering, or abroad by ISIS and Boko Haram and all that you can just come up with something and go around killing people. Our voices must be louder than them, and we are developing some instrument for this, which you can use. Strategy number 9, reset. Put the reset button, brothers and sisters. All the money is going to disaster. And after the disaster, Muslim in America has given $1 billion to deal with the refugee crisis in Syria. $1 billion. One brother gave $500 million, rest of the Muslim gave rest of the 500. Well, 400 million were given by Muslims, 700 million were given by one Muslim. You know who that brother is?
Chobani.
Oh, none of you like yogurts?
Chobani yogurts.
Chobani brother. Chobani brother.
Hamdi.
Yogurt came up, brother Mustafa came up with that recipe.
Hamdi, brother Hamdi.
Yeah, brother Hamdi. Yeah, you have some Turkish heritage. You know what Choban?
He's from same city.
Okay, so here's the money guy. Ask him to give you some $1 million there.
Check ready. Yeah.
Okay, so reprioritize. Masjid and disaster is taking over. We need to, unless we are powerful here. So divide up your money based on this point. Strategy number 10. Each one of us must be involved in fighting Islam. You just can't assign this is a job of Brother Walid because he became the executive director of here. Now we need to hang him with Islam. It's not going to work. It's too big. Each one of us must take care of it. And that's where I will take next 5 minutes, which I have, to talk about where Sound Vision is going. We also thought, instead of preaching, going to what we can do. So Sound Vision came up with this idea. Sound Vision, most people know us as a product. The people who develop Adam's World and Al-Qari and content on our website, 5,000 articles on the website and videos and Radio Islam and whatnot. But we do substantial amount of public relationing. So these are the products which we used to have and we still do. But in public relation, you talk about Burma Task Force. What is Burma Task Force? It is a desk like this inside Sound Vision. And that's where all the work. That's what the Bosnia Task Force was. Muslim in America have the credit. And Imam Siraj Wahad, please, Imam Abdullah, please remember this. Chicago Masjid got together and got this dude named Abdul Malik Mujahid to come, start Bosnia Task Force. Rape was never a war crime in the human history. Of course, haram, but not a war crime in international law. Not in Geneva Convention 1, not in Geneva Convention 2, not in the nation, not in the United Nations. First time its Sound Vision team came up with the idea rape must be declared a war crime. Bosnia Task Force adopted that, which office was in Sound Vision. We got National Organization of Women to work with us. We demonstrated in 100 cities. House passed the law, Senate passed the law, then we took to the United Nations. Muslims have the credit in America of declaring rape as a war crime, first time in human history. We sometimes don't brag about this thing. And it is. So public relation in a whole way we used to do, now we are enhancing by developing something called Strategic Communication Center. The Strategic Communication Center, if you open up your program book, on the second page to the cover, you have detail, just like on this thing. It will do 4 things for the Muslim community, many things, but 4 important things. Number 1, it is going to monitor and develop how to respond to a crisis. Anti-Sharia campaign was known year before. Ground Zero Mosque campaign was known a year before, but Muslims have nobody to manage crisis. It's a special field in the discipline of public relation and communication department. Second, build louder voices than the Boko Haram and ISIS terror voices. Third, do for Islam what Khan Academy has done for math and science. No matter what topic it is, master teacher define it 7 minutes. I'm assuming most of you know Khan Academy, right? How many of you know Khan Academy? Also, mashallah, Muslims are pretty learned people, so they should be tested in math and science now. Okay, and last thing is train and place Muslim in the media. It cannot be done without substantial coordination, and that's where we have coordination on the right side to develop, on the left side to distribute, and Iona can say where's the Iona name in there. Last strategy which I like to say is wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salat. That this is going to be a long-term fight. Unless you got guts, and guts is nothing but sabr. Imam, would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It will go. Yes, sir. Determination, persistence, endurance. You got to do it, but you will get that power by connecting with the all-powerful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Getting close to conclusion, this sister, she got that punch of the bear and she had 17 stitches. Inshallah, she will come out to be more powerful. I heard her watch her last night. She speaks well. I think she could be one of the leaders. I'm going to try to get anybody from Minnesota here. Anyone? Well, Minnesota is the place which gave Muslim the first Muslim congressperson. He is black. But how many blacks are in his constituency? Only 3%. This is our country. When they want to get done something, they get it done. It comes by determination and plans. Inshallah, she will be one of the congressperson. I can tell you, she is something. The way she is speaking and all of that. This is the same place, Minnesota. But for the first time, an attorney, a US attorney, wrote an article, an op-ed, just a week before the sister was punched, saying Islamophobia got to go. Beautiful article. I have it right there. You Google him, Andrew Lucker. Just a beautiful article he has written. This is the first time an official of this stature in American government has used the I word, that is Islamophobia. And I was surprised. So don't be overwhelmed. America is struggling with itself. You could be part of the movement to liberate this country. Are you with me?
Yes.
When you stand for yourself, America will move forward. That's what in civil rights movement Malcolm X, Rahimullah Alayh, and Dr. King were able to achieve. When you stand Rest of the people of conscience will stand with you and march with you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.